We've studied the entire universe in space and in time, but so far we only know of one place and one time in which life actually began. So a big question that both astronomers and philosophers wrestle with is, what is life? Is life the crowning glory of the universe? Is that the reason why the universe was formed? Are we the most important thing that's ever happened in the universe? Or is life a bizarre, unexpected outcome, an accident? Something that was never anticipated by whoever wrote the rules and got the universe started? And we don't know. One way of possibly testing this is to ask, well, how often does life happen? If life is a purpose of the universe, then perhaps it should be everywhere. That everywhere you look, when the conditions are right, life has emerged. And if life is just an incredible freak, 1 in a million, 1 in a trillion thing, then perhaps we're the only ones there. So yet another very profound, angels dancing on their head of a pin type question you could ask is, are we alone? And yet again, astronomers are crazy enough to try and actually answer that question. And there are 3 ways that we try and do that, through a discipline called astrobiology, the merging of astronomy and life, through looking for exoplanets, that is planets that are orbiting other stars, not orbiting our own sun, and SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So astrobiology, a lot of astrobiology involves looking for the building blocks of life, not on Earth, but in space. And amazingly, we've had a lot of success doing that. We, using our telescopes, have found the same sort of molecules that you would expect to be around when the Earth first formed life. Those same molecules are out there floating in space. So how they got there, we don't know. Perhaps the way those molecules arrived on the Earth is that they fell from the sky, but the whole universe seems to be filled quite naturally with the building blocks of life. As far as exoplanets go, well, we only have 8 planets in our solar system, but there's another 490 known throughout the Milky Way galaxy, found through a range of ingenious techniques. The easiest way to see a planet is just to simply look through a telescope and see a planet going around another star. But that's incredibly difficult because stars are very bright and planets are very faint. It's like trying to see a sputtering candle when someone is shining a giant searchlight in your face. But we have been able to do that on a couple of occasions. But there's 2 much easier ways to do this. Sometimes the planet happens to orbit in front of its star, and even though we don't see the planet, we see the light from the star dim by a tiny, tiny amount as the planet moves in front of it. And the other clever way we can do things is through seeing stars wobble. If I take a bucket full of sand and whirl it around my head on a string, then the bucket will go around in a big circle, but because of the bucket's pull, I will very slowly rock back and forth. And so while we can't see the bucket, the planet, whizzing around, we can see the very tiny wobble of the star, the gravity of the planet forcing the star to wobble. And so using these very precise, exquisite techniques, we have found, as of yesterday, about 490 planets around other stars, and if you ask me again next week, that number will go up because we're finding more every day. So we know 490 other planets besides those around our own sun, but quite surprisingly, none of them are anything like Earth yet. But the hope is that sometime soon, the next few years, we'll find a planet that's the right distance from its parent star and the right size and the right temperature, and it will actually be perhaps an Earth-like planet, and then we can ask the next question, is that planet hosting life? And the ultimate question, of course, is not just to find life, maybe a plant or a piece of moss or a small creature, but to find people like us, something intelligent, someone we can talk to, someone we can exchange ideas with, explain a mathematical theorem with, or tell them a joke. We are looking. We've been looking for almost 50 years, and we haven't found anything yet. We don't know if that's maybe because everyone is listening and nobody is talking. It's really the ultimate needle in a haystack problem. They have to be talking. They have to be beaming their radio signals directly towards us, not in some other direction. And we have to know what frequency they're transmitting at. You can't listen to your favorite song on the radio if you don't know which station to listen to. So this is a very, very hard question, but it's sort of a question that makes you want to give up before you even try. But nevertheless, people have dedicated their lives to trying to detect radio signals from other civilizations. We're ultimately motivated by the people who first conceived of this preposterous idea of communicating with other civilizations, Cocconi and Morrison, 2 famous scientists who in 1959 first suggested that if there are other intelligent civilizations in the universe, and they will be likely to communicate with us through radio waves. they acknowledged that the probability of ever finding anything was very small. They said the probability of success is difficult to estimate, but if we never search, the chance of success is 0. So despite the challenges of trying to find something else out there, people look, because if we do find something, it will change our understanding of everything forever.